Hello, my name is Megan Renee, and today I will be presenting a dissertation defense analysis in which I will present findings and information from an established dissertation for the purposes of Class RSH 912, Introduction to Dissertation at Aspen University. For the purposes of this presentation, we will be analyzing Birds and Bees, a mixed method study exploring adolescents' use of sexual health text message service by J. F. Willoughby from the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill from 2013. Committee members for this dissertation are listed at the bottom of this slide. The problem statement of a dissertation or any research is often located within the introduction. The introduction of the dissertation, according to Roberts and Hyatt 2019, often includes the problem statement. The problem statement, along with the introduction, set the tone of the dissertation and its research. In the context of the selected dissertation, the problem statement revolves around teens looking for sexual health information and trusted resources that are valid, reliable, and easy to understand. Willoughby highlights several reasons of the significance of the research. These include the need to address the young teens that are seeking out health information, its chance to expand on information seeking and accessing resources rather than just information. This topic can also aid in self-concepts and identities among the population being studied. This leads to our research questions. Research questions guide the research and the dissertation, as well as tell the viewers what questions the researcher are intending to answer throughout the course of their study and their experiments and or focus groups or other data collection methods. For the purpose of this study, there were 5 research questions. The first research question was, which adolescents are most likely to use a sexual health text message service? Research question number 2 was, do service users differ from non-users for negative sexual health outcome risk factors at the individual level? So they're looking at a personal level. Research question number 3 was, do service users differ from non-users for negative sexual health outcome risk factors at the familial level? So we're looking at immediate families such as parents or guardians and siblings. Research question number 4 was, do service users differ from non-service users for negative sexual health outcome risk factors at the extrafamilial level? So we're looking at the extended family. Research question number 5 was, does use of a sexual health text message service differ based on sexual experience? Within any dissertation, there is often and always a literature review portion. How this is structured can depend on the dissertation qualifications needed for the program of study that the researcher is enrolled in, or it can pertain specifically to their research and the type of research they are conducting. For the purpose of this research study that we are examining, the chapters, instead of being divided up in the traditional fashion for a dissertation, are designed as sole research articles in that they could be published in a peer-reviewed journal on their own apart from the dissertation. Within that, chapters 3, 4, and 5 included a literature review. Chapter 3's literature review focused on sexual health information seeking via text messaging, so examining our programs like Birds and Bees and other campaign programs that were observed within their literature search. Chapter 4 examined knowing the audience. This dove into high school students, middle school students, those who are classified as young teens, and understanding their familiarity with text messaging services such as Birds and Bees, or on the other hand, looking at their want and need to access valid and reliable sexual health information. Chapter 5 was a sole analysis of Birds and Bees. They looked at the motivation and barriers for the students who were participating in this campaign, as well as where this campaign was put into place, how it was put into place, the location. The original launch for the Birds and Bees was in a rural North Carolina setting. Our research method and designs. This lets the readers know what type of data the researcher was collecting. This also helps guide the researcher in the different types of data collection, data analysis methods that they will need to complete. These differ depending on qualitative and/or quantitative methods. In reference to the dissertation we are analyzing, the design was a sequential explanatory mixed method design, meaning that it included both qualitative and quantitative methods, and was described as cross-sectional, as by Willoughby. This study also included a post-test only field experiment, and this was followed by focus groups and interviews, which would be collecting our qualitative data. Our results and data analysis. This was broken down into the different chapters within this dissertation. We have chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5, which yielded results and/or data analysis. Chapter 2, results included service used increase during the campaign, so those participating saw an increase in usage of the sexual health text messaging service. Approximately 67.1% of new users heard about Birds and Bees through the school campaign, and they found that it was important to enroll health educators in these types of campaigns. Chapter 3 focused in on the demographics. If you recall, chapters 3 and 4 dove into the knowing the audience. So you can see that chapter 4 also yielded a result of demographic information. Chapter 4 also found that there was no significant difference for gender or academic achievement when analyzing the Birds and Bees usage, but they found a significant difference for relationship status and age. Chapter 5 included the qualitative data. They surveyed 2,204 students and found that there was approximately 100 text messages per day. This leads us to our discussion. The discussion portion of the dissertation allows the researcher to share results and findings in reference to either the context for the future or overall what they have found within themes or other ideas that have arisen during the research process. For this dissertation, the author found that teens have questions about sexual health, therefore they are seeking out information. Teens are interested in sexual health text messaging services. They found and discussed that sexual health text messaging services are a viable option for information, that the diffusion of innovations model would be beneficial to implementing services and or other topics under this topic of interest. And they found that the context of the program and or the environment may influence the service use among those participants. A couple of limitations that were listed in the dissertation. A big highlight from the author was the design, a cross-sectional versus a longitudinal design. The author did choose a cross-sectional design, which means that they cannot establish a causation. So they cannot say because the students used the sexual health text messaging service that they were more likely, or that there was a correlation to them making better sexual health behavior choices. Another limitation was the constricted survey population. As I mentioned before, this population was in rural North Carolina, so a very confined population. Data collection was another limitation. The online format used to survey the participants was administered 3 months post the start of the campaign. The author talked about either administering it sooner or possibly later to see what stuck with them after they moved out of the campaign series. And lastly, the limitation that was brought up by the author was correlational data. Because of this cross-sectional design, there was not a lot of room for the correlation data. So X happened because of Y, or Y happened because of X. The recommendations or the future study implications were analyzing decision influences among the teen population, examining the impacts of efficacy evaluation, so looking further into the data analysis and the data collection methods. The author mentioned the possible reconveying of a population, so utilizing samples that have not received specific promotions in school settings like these high schools and middle schools had seen with the Birds and Bees campaign. And lastly, one of the new analyzations they proposed was the benefits and the drawbacks to various text messaging services. The conclusions drawn from the research include sexual health text messaging services are gaining popularity and they are growing and becoming more widely used. The findings included that teens are interested in receiving sexual health information in text format or over their phone. Those who participated in the campaign were more likely to be lower socioeconomic status backgrounds. They were more likely to be in a relationship than those who did not use the service that was examined in this study. And they were more likely to have engaged in sexual behaviors than the non-users. Reference throughout this PowerPoint included Roberts and Hyatt, which was the Dissertation Journey, a practical guide to planning, writing, and defending your dissertation. And our other reference or source for this presentation was Willoughby, JF, 2013, the dissertation that we analyzed throughout this presentation. Thank you very much.